Let's go across to our guest. Joining us, Charu Pragya is from the BJP. Pinakaranjan Chakravarti is former secretary, MEA. Kapil Madan, lawyer and political analyst, leans towards the Congress party. Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. And Pathikret Payan is strategic affairs expert joining us on the show. Before I go to our experts, let me just bring in some political elements as well. Ghanshyam Tiwari, why don't I begin with you? You know, here is a lot of the Western agencies, talking about India in a negative light, that secularism is in danger, minorities are in danger, liberalism is dead in India. And here you have the most liberal, the most secular country's president coming to India and being the face of its Republic Day celebrations. This is a stamp of the fact that all criticism that comes from the West or that Western prism need not be bought.
Good evening, Shivani, to you, the viewers and fellow co-panelists. There are two different things. One is how the world looks at India is a story which has been built over 70 years. It is built on the thought leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, the government, subsequent governments, the past glory of India, as well as what the current government does. The power of Indian constitution and power of Indian institutions. As far as the stifling of voices in India, the fracture of democracy in India, you don't have to go to Paris to watch it. You have to go to the parliament and see when 140 members of parliament are thrown out, when the press is gagged, when laws are passed without any discussion, when the government and the party in government wants to make breaking communal harmony as a prime agenda. There are multiple ways to look at it, and everyday newspapers will tell you the story. As far as the visit of the French president is concerned, it is a continuation of strong friendly ties that France and India has, and the strategic interest that these two countries have together, both at multilateral forums such as the United Nations Security Council, the overall interest vis-a-vis the global geopolitics. And you are right that France has been able to take an independent view of Indian foreign policy stances, and also Macron has been able to...
But this is where I tie the two together. Ghanshyam, just to take your point forward, this is where I tie the two together. Here's a country that believes in its values. The French values are quoted everywhere else in the world. But here's a country, and Macron is the face of speaking against Muslim extremism, of stamping down against exclusivism in the name of religion. He doesn't allow that in France. It's the most secular of all countries. And it's not a country that follows the quote-unquote Western line on India, which is peddled repeatedly as some sort of a counterbalance or check against India. Possibly it's time for Indians too to shed that baggage.
Well, we don't have to go to France to understand how diversity works. India is a living example that it is the European Union that is learning from India that how diversity works.
Sure.
But in the rule of BJP, we are giving away that thought leadership that is obvious in everyday conduct in society by this government. So we don't have to get their certificate. As far as the French problem with extremism is concerned, that is their own problem that doesn't have any Indian dimension to it. In India, the diversity is not a problem. Many parts in Europe, diversity is seen as a problem, and they are trying to grapple with that problem. In India, it is our strength. That is the fundamental difference.
Yes, it is our strength, which is why some of the criticisms that come, particularly in election years, is that motivated? Is a question I'll come back to, but I'll allow Charu Pragya to respond to Ghanshyam Tiwari that, foreign dignitaries do not necessarily provide a stamp of approval that sometimes the BJP or Narendra Modi might want to project.
Shivani, good evening. Nobody is looking for a stamp of approval, but we have to remember at the end of the day, the world is one village, and one thing that impacts one country will eventually impact another. India and France have a lot of shared values, the first and the strongest of them being a zero tolerance policy towards terror. I think that's one thread which ties us very strongly. And whatever you say about diversity, the problem in France is not diversity. The problem remains to be terrorism. And whichever section of society is supporting that terrorism, it is our job to take a stand against that. See, it's not about approval from any foreign country, but it's about claiming the space and being proud of the space that India now occupies on the global stage. Now, whether it is India is a country which is exporting vaccines to 150 plus nations, whether it is India is the country which for the first time got complete consensus during the G20, which included the whole African Union into the G20, that inclusivity goes a really long way. What we are trying to say here is that, and don't worry, I have nothing to say about the opposition. I have no time to look at your grass because BJP is too busy watering our side of the fence. And that's what we focused on the last 10 years. We've made sure that every single where you can measure development in India, we have delivered. Every single place. आप simple चीजों से शुरुआत करते हैं, घर, पानी, बिजली, we've made sure of that. आप उसके एक कदम आगे बढ़ते हैं, आप शिक्षा की बात करते हैं, medical care की बात करते हैं, we are taking care of that. Whether it is Jan Aushadhi Kendra or Ayushman card. We talk about dharma, we've made sure religious places of tourism are touching new heights. The recent one, Hamare Ramji has also come back home. So we are delivering every day, and it was not just Ramji that day. Modi ji announced solar panels for 1 crore households in India.
Okay. So you're saying everything is going together as far as development is concerned. I want to shift to our experts.